The UAE has just announced the implementation of 9% corporate tax from 1st of June 2023. Hey everyone, before we move ahead, please click on the subscribe button to stay updated on our weekly business and finance related content, which is incredibly useful for business owners, CEOs, CFOs, entrepreneurs, and those who aspire to be one. Now let's get back to the video. The UAE has just announced the implementation of 9% corporate tax from 1st of June 2023. We've already discussed in the past that corporate tax will be implemented in the UAE. Now that we have some more information on this new tax regime, let's discuss this a little bit more further. This is the first time that direct tax is being implemented in the UAE. Unlike VAT, this kind of a tax will directly impact the profitability of a company. So it's important that a company understands what the rules are to be ready in advance before the implementation of corporate tax. Like other business and transaction law changes in the UAE, the plan for UAE is to uplift businesses to international standards. This new tax system will allow to reduce harmful tax practices and improve global transparency. First, let's discuss what's the tax rate. For companies that earn under 375,000 dirhams, we'll have a 0% corporate tax rate. And for companies that earn higher than this threshold, we'll have to have a 9% corporate tax rate. This is in line with supporting startups. This is very similar to the VAT registration thresholds as well. A tax rate of 9% is very low compared to global standards. Considering the fact that a global minimum tax rate of 15% was to be implemented soon, this is a better rate. The taxation will be calculated on the adjusted profits of the company. What this means is that the tax profits and the accounting profits will be different. This would lead to deferred tax assets or liabilities being created as well. Individuals are not subject to this tax. What this means is that personal income tax will not be implemented in the UAE. Income on salary, real estate, and other forms of personal income will not be taxed as long as they are not related to UAE trade or business in the UAE. No corporate tax for certain types of transactions. One of the announcements was that foreign investors who do not conduct business in the UAE will not be taxed. We obviously need more information on what a foreign investor or what conducting business in the UAE means. However, it's safe to assume that if you are an investor in the UAE and have companies in other countries, the income of those companies will not be taxed in the UAE. Another area where corporate tax will not be included is capital gains income and dividend income received by UAE businesses on its shareholdings. What this means is that most income earned by holding companies will not be included in corporate taxation. Intra-group projects and restructuring also will not be included in the scope for corporate tax in the UAE. It's very common in the UAE to have a lot of intercompany transactions to fund projects. So it's good to know that this kind of transactions will not fall under the purview of corporate tax. Another very important news is that certain transactions by Freezone companies will also not be taxed as long as they meet certain specific requirements. We still don't know what these requirements are, but it could be something very similar to the VAT. In general, VAT transactions by a Freezone company is only taxed if it's conducted in the mainland. Another news is that tax that's paid in a foreign jurisdiction can be deducted towards the tax payments in the UAE. The UAE will also introduce generous loss transfer and utilization rules as well. This will be especially beneficial for startups because there will be losses in the first few years which can be probably carried forward to later years as well. Another news is that withholding tax is not going to be implemented. So this is only applicable for suppliers outside the UAE who plan to invoice companies within the UAE. The implementation of corporate tax will bring some more structure to businesses in the UAE. We will have to wait for the UAE to announce more rules and regulations to plan ahead and be ready for the implementation. Hope this video gave you a better understanding of the new announcement of corporate tax in the UAE. Stay tuned to see our future videos on insights on corporate tax and the latest news on the same. Hey everyone, you've reached the end of this video. Thank you all for listening. If you like this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. If you'd like for us to talk about any specific topics, please do let us know in the comments below. Hope to see you in the next video.